the Travis Brown YouTube channel. So today we are going to talk about a 4-part series. So we're going to introduce a series of what we're doing, and we're going to talk about our IronMan. So we are on the road to Copenhagen. At the time of filming and releasing this video, we are officially 10 days out from race day. Now, most people will look at an Ironman, they'll look at a triathlon and they'll think that it all starts then, and that's kind of what's going on. But the thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about today is how and why and where we're going to go and do this and what's happening. So the whole premise of the video is to give you a bit of an insight into what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and sort of how you can do these things as well. So whether you're interested in triathlon or high rocks or photo shoots or whatever it is, kind of anchoring that why and what you need to do and how you're going to do it. What is an Ironman triathlon? So basically, it's a long form triathlon. It's probably one of the most famous ones. It started up in Hawaii a long time ago, and it's a 3.8 kilometer swim, which is 2.4 miles, or it's about 160 lengths in a swimming pool for most swimming pools. You then follow that up with a 180 kilometer bike ride, or 112 miles. In Copenhagen, this is a 30 kilometer straight out of the city, a 60 kilometer loop twice, and then 30 kilometers back, roughly. And then once you've done that, you just have the small task of running a marathon. So 42.2 kilometers, 26.2 miles. So it's going to be a big day out. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because although it's going to sound arrogant, it's not. Quite often in life, I've tried to put my mind to things, I've challenged myself with things, and I found most things relatively comfortable, or have managed to get myself into a good position with them. So I really wanted to make sure that I was doing my clients, doing my friends, doing my family justice, and taking on something that I perhaps not necessarily wouldn't find easy, but just something that was really out of my comfort zone. It's something that we tell our clients to do, and something that I thought, how can I challenge myself? How can I motivate myself? And how can I do something that, quite frankly, scares the living daylights out of me? So the Ironman was something that I knew would push that. So I knew that I needed something that was going to make me struggle. I knew something that needed to be long. And I also knew I needed something that was going to challenge my skill sets. So when I booked my Ironman 10 months ago, I couldn't swim. Although I didn't know that, I jumped in the swimming pool and thought I'd get to it with no problems. And I thought that I would just pick it up. Well, that wasn't the case. And then I also didn't even own a bike, and I had never been on a road bike before. So taking on the triathlon, which was able to challenge those skill sets and challenge those things, felt like a really good opportunity for me. There are a couple of bits that sort of inspired me to do it as well. So I have a coach, Christian, and Ailey, so Ready for Anything. I once watched Christian's YouTube video. He did the Keltman Triathlon, which is a similar distance, but up in the Scottish Hills. So probably a fair bit harder as well. And I saw his video and it sort of inspired me to take action, and thought, wow, what a feeling it would be to do something like this. So here we are. So from 10 months to sign up, go to 10 days out. Now, one of the big things that people will always talk about with a triathlon is how hard and intense the training is. But when you have a good schedule, it's so much more manageable. So something I've been doing, so from about 10 months out, I was focusing on swimming once a week and cycling once a week. Now, most of that was indoors. But in that meantime, as you probably know, I was training for high rocks. I was training for different high rocks events, and then even the high rocks worlds. So my running was already being looked after. I wasn't hitting massive distance, but I was getting some distance in on the legs, and particularly some speed work as well. So that was from about 10 months out until probably about 6 months out. And then I started training for a marathon. So in the meantime, I booked Manchester Marathon, and that was an opportunity to anchor myself, to get my running up, increasing my distance, and actually went and got just over a 3-hour marathon. So 3 hours 11 in Manchester in April, just after Beth's accident. So that was a really good opportunity for me to really bring some sort of challenge to myself. But also I thought to myself, if I can go and run a 3-hour marathon, which was the initial target in Manchester, then if I can go and run a 4-hour marathon at the end of an Ironman, one, not only is that a really good time, but it's also an hour slower. So it will give me that mental capacity to relax and also feel accomplished what I'm doing. So that was really positive. So we did that in April, and then we turned our attention straight back to high rocks into the World Championships, which came in Well, I had a couple of high roxes. So I had one in London, which we PB'd at, and then one in Gdansk, where we come third place. So that was amazing, but then it was all high rocks. So we're still swimming a couple of times a week now. We're cycling a couple of times a week. And then from the 9th of June, after the High Rocks Worlds, it was full Ironman. So I've been going at this now for what will be 2 months right now. We've been going flat out on the High Rocks, on the Ironman. So we've been swimming twice a week. So we've been doing one pool swim every Monday. So that's built itself up to 3.9 kilometers in the pool. So just over the distance we need to do, with a strength training session on a Monday as well. Tuesday has been a rest day throughout my whole process. Wednesday has been an open water swim followed by a run, so a brick session. And again, we got that up to 4,000 meters from a non-swimmer 10 months ago. And then that followed up by a different run. So the biggest one we did of that was 4,000 meters and 16K last week. We did yesterday was 2,800 followed by a 10K run. Thursday has been a bike and run, so outdoor, so jumping on the bike, usually about 30 to 40 kilometers, so just over an hour and a half on that. Again, then followed by a 20-minute run, so tried to shake some pace. Literally the other week I managed to do that and actually hit an 18-minute 5K, which was stupid, but very, very impressive as well, because it's telling me that I'm still in a good condition jumping off the bike. On a Friday, then that would be another strength session and then a tempo run or some interval runs. So again, hit some good runs on there and actually hit my 10K PB of 38 minutes in one of those sessions as well. Saturday would be a long run, so we got that up to 30 kilometers, and then Sunday would be a long brick, so it would be a long bike ride outdoors followed by a long run. So we did a bike ride for anyone Peterborough based, Peterborough to Hunstanton, 127 kilometers in just over 4 hours, followed by a 10K run in about 42 minutes. And then the longest one we did was 165 kilometers from Peterborough to Cromer, but unfortunately didn't manage to get the run in. Knee has been playing up a little bit. Interestingly, I did it playing football on a family fun day, so that's a bit of an issue, but we've worked through that. So big distance have actually been 2 hours, but other than that, every single training session has been hit. So we were up to about 16 hours of training per week, which is an awful lot. But when you have the right structure and the right plan, it's a lot more manageable. So one thing that people underestimate massively about doing long distance, and something that I sort of struggled with really, is making sure I've got enough food in. So that's a really hard part of any performance. Most people in this world probably have come from some sort of diet culture, diet background. They've struggled with fat loss or fat gain or whatever, and now they're switching into performance. And getting food right is really, really tricky, because you have to eat so much, but also most people, when they think about eating too much, they'll think about perhaps driving up the wrong sorts of foods and stuff like that. So for me, like, most of my nutrition as a whole is around about 3,500 calories, about 150-60 grams of protein, so equivalent to, I don't know, like a couple of chicken breasts. One of my go-tos is an awful lot of het chicken sausages, bagel thins, Weetabix in the morning, which is obviously not protein, but it's a good array of food, and it's about eating more of the right stuff. It's about eating more of the fuel, more of the natural food, the unprocessed food. So for me, a typical day is always a bowl of Weetabix before I go and train my clients, 6 till 10. So bowl of Weetabix before then, come back, usually some sort of second breakfast. So jam, peanut butter on bagels. For lunch, again, will be like chicken sausages, bagels, and then we'll have like an afternoon, which will be like, I'll have a banana, I'll have another piece of fruit, so some grapes, a yogurt, and then I'll probably have, I don't know, a bit more food later on. And then dinner, at the moment, we've been using like Gusto, which has been really cool actually, because I'm a shit cook, again, busy. Beth's taking a lot of flack and a lot of work of cooking and stuff like that. So getting the Gusto in, having the macros ready. I know I'm not linked to it, I've not got a code, I'm not going to offer you a code, but actually by planning my food in the daytime and still then having those family meals and enjoyable meals of an evening has been really, really helpful. And the only time that's really not happened is when I've done long brick rides, and then basically I have a massive bowl of chicken pasta in the evening on a Saturday, prepared for that Sunday. And then the other bits are like there's supplements, and again, people miss it. So Obviously, always have creatine in the system, so making sure, even though I've been told by my coach, because I did sort of get lazy and stop taking it whilst we moved house. So that's back in, so lots of creatine. One of my big things and favourites is like my performance hydration. It's a March on, so again, I don't have a code or anything, but electrolytes super key to keeping yourself fueled. Other than that, it's just basic, so it's your magnesium, your vitamin D, your multivit, stuff like that is going to be super helpful in terms of getting the most out of everyone's performance and your own performance. And then the other thing that's been life-saving, especially on the move for long stuff, is the energy stuff. So Morton do drink mixes, so like this is the drink mix 160, 40 grams of carb, so we're hitting that. 40 grams of carb in the gel 160, and then the SIS gels, which are probably my tastiest choice, which are again 25 grams of carb. When you're doing long stuff, you're looking to take on sort of 40 to 50 grams of carbs every half an hour. So through the process of the Ironman, after the swim side of it, forgetting what I take in, I'm probably going to take in anywhere up to 500, 600, 700 grams of carbs during that race. So you're just constantly trying to get topped up. If you're someone that's doing any endurance events or anything like that, fueling, you must make sure that in training you're practicing your nutrition strategy, because otherwise your stomach is not going to be ready to digest and process. And that's the same with your electrolytes, your hydration and stuff like that. So making sure that you replace electrolytes in your hard training, because when you sweat them out, but when we only drink water, we don't replace them. So your body needs to get a good replenishment and trying to get that in. So a lot of people ask me, how hard is it? Would I recommend it? Would I do this? Would I do that? Blah, blah. Now remember, I've not done the race day yet, so we're still 10 days out. Again, that comes next Sunday. I would say that physically the challenge has been unbelievable. I'm really fortunate, touch wood. I've not suffered any injuries or anything like that, but one of the key things for it for me is about doing the work that you should be doing, this work that you need to be doing. I've been making sure I see a physio very regularly, getting acupuncture, sports massage. I've been stretching most days, so pretty much daily on that front, except from a few weeks here and there where it's not been as adherent. Foam rolling, spiky ball rolling. So physically there's so much demand on your body, but actually for anyone that's done any sort of high intensity, high load sport, doing an Ironman or a triathlon has actually been quite a nice relief, weirdly, because it's not high impact. Sure, we've done the speed runs, sure, we've done lots of swimming, lots of cycling, but my body in a way has been almost quite grateful for the lack of intensity, particularly coming from that high rocks place that I was just in, which I'll be rushing straight back to because I love it, but the body's probably been quite happy with it, but especially with the care. But I tell you, the big thing for me is the emotional challenge. If you ask me one day how I'm feeling towards the Ironman, I'll tell you I've been checking how many spaces are in the World Championship qualification. But then if you ask me the next day, I'm checking the cut-off to see what time the sweeper bus comes around to see if it's going to get me. So it's been very emotional, like lots of turmoil, lots of roller coasters and lots of change in belief of whether I'm going to smash it, whether it's going to be really difficult, whether I'm going to thrive through it. And actually that's been more difficult to manage, particularly alongside balancing life. So 16 to 18 hours of training per week, trying to maintain some sort of social life, trying to run a business, trying to help all the clients all the time. And most people will think it's not the most time demanding job, but in terms of being up until, so you train clients 6 till 10, doing the work on the computer, the programming, the checking in, the feedback, the formula, the communication, the building of the services and stuff like that, it does take a long time. And then in the meantime, we've moved house at the same time as running through this prep, which was a challenge in its own right. And it has taken an army to get me here, to get me to this point. And again, still not even finished. But just people supporting, people giving me shout outs, giving me help, you know, coming training with me, doing the long rides with me sometimes moving the run club and coming with me when I can get back from a long bike ride. But also Beth looking after the house, looking after the cats, looking after myself, cooking, cleaning, feeding, all of those things. If it wasn't for that, would have either completely gone to pot and I'd have just kept doing the training, or I'd have ended up bailing from the training. So I think the biggest challenge and the biggest struggle is actually having that structure, having that plan, but more importantly, probably having that support system. And I think it probably takes an army to get someone through an Ironman prep in terms of timing, unless they're living a very simple life with lots of time to themselves. The performance and the progress has been absolutely crazy. Like, I think If you ask me if I could run as well as I can now, no. Could I cycle? Where would my fitness be? You know, performance metrics and everything like that has been insane just from doing the training. When I first got in the pool, it took me 42 minutes of moving time to swim 1,000 meters. It was about an hour in total. I went to 4,000 meters in 1 hour 21 moving time. So for an additional 21 minutes of time, I traveled an extra 3,000 meters. Obviously, again, getting to handstands and chroma on the bike ride, 130, 165 kilometers respectively. 5k PB down at 18 minutes, 10k PB down at 38 minutes, cycle speeds up at 30 kilometers an hour. The performance has been mental. But more importantly, the personal growth has been at an all-time high. For me, getting up, doing that training, like, you don't understand how hard you need to push until you have this fear that you're not going to be capable. And it's something I've not experienced before. Again, done high roxies, done races, done marathons and stuff like that, but actually finding this thing that has driven me to get up and do the things at 5 a.m. with fear, places when I don't want to do it because I'm struggling or I'm tired or I'm low on energy, it's really made me that person that does what they said they're going to do because I said I'm going to do an Ironman. And I think that links into the fact that if you do the training, the event is the victory lap. And you hear a lot of that with marathons and stuff like that. It's like, oh, if you do the training, the marathon's a victory lap, you just get to enjoy it. And whilst marathons are still really hard and most people train, it's actually getting to that race day and going, well, I've done the work, I need to trust the process, I need to nutrition, and that's the fourth discipline of Ironman and big triathlons. It's actually like, okay, I've actually done it. So a couple of things that I would say in terms of giving tips out to people with anything like this is any event you're doing, if you think you can't do the event, then look at your training, because training is designed to get you to an event. So whether you need a year to train for it, a month to train for it, 3 years to train for it, if you can do the training at the start of the training program, you can do the event. So if you want to do an event or you want to do a race or you want to do a challenge, the first process is signing up, because once you've signed up, you'll create the training program, you'll buy the training program, you'll get coached to do the training program. You can do it, and all you need to be able to do is do the first step. And if it's the right training program, then it will be. I remember getting mine, and the first thing I did was scroll to peak week. Saw that it was a 160 kilometer bike ride, 2 hour run, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I'm never gonna be able to do that. Week by week, bit by bit, we ticked off step by step. So when you want to do a race or a challenge, stop thinking that you can't do the event. You can do the event, because if you do the training, you can do the event. If you're the type of person that's gonna miss training sessions, training weeks, then perhaps that's why you struggle. So training will always make that process, and it will always be the bit that brings the most growth. Getting someone on board to help you, to support you, having someone that can do maybe the discipline, so whether like it's a run or a shoot or whatever, can you have someone that's going to come and support you on those tough training sessions, tough runs, tough rides, tough swims? Can you get people to support you at home and also understand your journey, and also setting alarms and early alarms to get up, get things done and move through that way, because that's going to be important as well. And I've had my fair share of that. So I've mentioned Beth doing stuff, but I had Luigi come out on a long bike ride, I had Daz come out on a long ride, I've had the running team do runs with me. I've got people in my corner in my ultimate team that are absolutely supporting me and smashing their own goals, which is also inspirational. And another big thing about that is like community. The game plan community that we have been so fortunate to create with amazing people is one of the biggest drivers of my success, because they push me to do things that I didn't think I could do, because they are pushing themselves to do things they couldn't do. So that's a massive thing. So if you're not part of that, well, then you should be. So again, there's a Facebook group, Training for Ironman, there's different things, but getting in a group of people that you know, that you support, that support you and everything like that, if they inspire you and you try to inspire them, motivation never becomes a problem. So first of all, if you've enjoyed this video, please drop us a like. But more importantly, if you're more interested in the Ironman, we have another 3 parts of this series coming. So the first part that's next is going to be about Copenhagen itself, traveling out there, getting to the race and so on. The second one is going to be the race itself and a debrief. And then the fourth one is going to be talking about how it went, analysing it, and then also what's coming next in my journey and how I plan on using that to inspire not only myself, but my clients to take it to the next level. So that's what's coming next. So drop a subscribe, drop a comment, let us know what you want to see, and more importantly, let us know what you want to see from the race weekend, and we'll make sure we capture it and give you the best insight into one, what traveling for an event looks like and traveling for a race looks like, two, what Copenhagen is like, and three, what an actual Ironman event is about. So tell us what you want to see. What are the specifics? What would you like to know more about? We'll make sure we get it documented. We'll make sure we share the journey with you, whether you're someone that's looking to do their first Ironman, like this is mine, whether you're someone that's looking to excel at Ironman, whether it's a different type of race or event. We want to show you the absolute best and give you an insight into how I found it and how the event plays down. We've got a few people coming with us, so we've got a couple of friends coming out, so JP, Chloe, Steph and Rob, and I'm really excited to share the journey with them, as well as obviously with Beth, who will be with me, but also sharing that journey with you. So come with us, drop a subscribe, watch out for the next video, and we'll break it down in terms of the tech used and the race and everything like that.